Hi everyone. Today I'm going to talk about how you can rapidly develop UIs in Angular using Angular Material and Tailwind CSS. I have created this new platform called Angular Material Blocks just for that. My goal is to make Angular Material Blocks one place stop for all the developers to explore components and blocks for their Angular Material and Tailwind CSS based application. So let's dive into it. I have opened up the homepage of ui.angularmaterial.tab. Let's click on Explore Blocks. So it will open up the main page for blocks. Here we can explore all the blocks. As of now, blocks are divided into two categories. First is application and second one is marketing. Application section contains blocks for feedbacks, forms, lists, elements, and overlays. And marketing section contains blocks for elements and page sections as of now. So there are total 100 plus blocks available for now. And I'm going to add more and more blocks on weekly basis. Before integrating blocks into the project, let's first see the documentation. So I'm heading towards getting started. So as you can see, all the blocks created on this platform are compatible with Angular version 19 and Tailwind CSS version 4. Next, we will create new Angular application keeping SCSS as our styling partner. I have already followed these steps, so I'm going to proceed to CLI setup. CLI is the most powerful feature of this platform. It will not only help you in setting up the project, but it will also help you in adding and updating the blocks codes, and this will make your development a breeze. So let's copy this init command and run it in our Angular workspace. So I have this Angular project ready with me, a blank project. So I'm going to paste that init command and press enter. Let's answer all these questions so that CLI can set up the files in our Angular project smoothly. For path, I will keep the default path. So I will press tab and then enter. For formatter, I will select none. For post CSS, I will keep the path as it is. Then it is asking me to add some styles file. I'll select yes. Then it is asking me to add Tailwind CSS dependencies. I will again select yes. Then it is asking me to set up Angular material, add some styles in Angular JSON, and add material symbols in index.html and app config file. I will press A and then press enter. I want to perform all these steps. So basically, what this will do, this will install and set up Angular materials custom theme with typography. Then it will set up the needed styles files in Angular JSON file. And then it will set up Angular material symbols, which are new way of using material icons. Okay, as you can see, it has done all the steps. And then for next steps, it is asking us to run the command ngm cli add command. But before adding any block, let's first examine what changes the CLI has made in our project. So I will close the terminal and I will open the Explorer. So first of all, CLI created a post CSS configuration file for us. This is needed for Tailwind CSS to work properly. Next, it made some changes in Angular JSON styles array. Basically, it added the style sheets, which we are going to need to run the blocks smoothly in our application. After that, it also created ngm-dev CLI JSON file. This file is the configuration file for the CLI through which the behavior of CLI can be configured. Now, if I take a look at package.json file, you can see it added Angular CDK, Angular material, and dependencies of Tailwind. It also made some changes in index HTML. Basically, it ran Angular Materials add schematic. So it added Roboto font. Then it added Material Icons font family. And this CLI added materials symbols also in the index.html. Material symbols are the new way of using material icons. So the CLI is helping us to do that. Let's take a look at styles.scss file. So this is a simple custom theme which is provided by Angular Material. Next, the CLI configured material symbols outlined as a default font family for matte icon so that material icons or matte icon component don't use material icons font family, but rather we want them to use material symbols font family, which are the new way. Next, it created a base file for us. So this file sets background color and font color according to Angular material. Then in dialog style file, there is a class created for full screen dialog. This class is used in some of the blocks where we have responsive dialogues. So in laptop or desktops, the dialogues appear at around 60% of width, but in responsive mode, the dialogues take full height and width. So this class is going to help us with that. Apart from that, we have also overridden container color for all the dialogues across whole application. So according to Material 3 specification, dialog should have surface container high color. So that's why we are overriding that type. Next, we have size file. These classes are going to be handy when we want to play around with density or scale of Angular material component. Next, we have tabs. For tabs, specifically for primary tabs, the border of active tab has the border radius of 3 pixels according to Material 3 design guidelines. But in Angular material, there is no such border radius applied, but we can apply a border radius using theme overrides. So we are overriding shape and height of active indicator of Angular material tabs across whole application. And in Angular material, we can achieve primary tabs behavior using either fit ink bar content directive or this uh, ng reflect fit ink bar content directive, setting it to true. Next, we have dark theme file. So as mentioned over here, to make color scheme dark work, make sure to have color scheme light just before include matte theme and not theme type in color property of matte.theme mixin in your Angular material theme file. So let's make this change. So I'm going to copy this line. I'm going to go into my styles file. So as mentioned, I'll paste that before matte.theme and I will remove theme type from color. These changes are needed so that dark theme class with color scheme dark works properly. Next, we have one theme. At many places in our blocks, we use color one on buttons to show a urgent or error state. So that's why we have created this one theme. Note that we are only overriding primary tokens and not any other tokens because we are using color one or one theme only for buttons. If you are planning to use this one theme for any other components, you may need to override other tokens respectively. At last, the most important style is the overrides of Tailwind CSS. Let's break down this file. First of all, use Tailwind CSS. This makes sure that Tailwind CSS features and functionalities and classes are available in our application. Then layer base directive sets font families for body and heading elements to be same as the ones in Angular material. And it also sets background and foreground colors for the body element to be same as the one in Angular Material. So as you can see, font family, we are using Matsys body large font, which are system variables from Angular Material. And for heading text, we are using this display large font. So this is also a system variable for an Angular Material. Next, we are setting up couple of utility classes. These are also helpful in developing our Angular Material blocks. Next, we have added a custom variant for dark. We are going to use dark theme classes to apply the dark theme. So that's why this line is important to support dark theme. Next, keep inline directive sets the colors, font families, radiuses to be same as the one in Angular Material. You can go through this file and you can modify it as per your need. There is a huge list of variables set for Tailwind CSS so that it aligns with Angular Materials system variables. Lastly, some animations are added, pretty simple animations, fade in, marquee vertical. These animations are going to be used in the blocks which you are going to integrate from Angular Material Blocks platform. Lastly, there are some conflict resolution styles written so that Angular Material components don't break when we integrate Tailwind CSS into our application. Because Tailwind CSS comes with its own reset, which breaks a couple of components. So that's why this reset is needed. And this is the barrel file for all the styles file. So we need to have this file present in our Angular JSON styles array. Basically, this file forwards all the files which we just went through. So if we take a look at Angular JSON, you will see that ngm dev blocks styles file is already added. Okay, so ngm dev CLI has done a lot of work for us. Now we are ready to integrate blocks from the platform. So let's do that. Let's start with dialogues in application overlays. Let's go back to blocks. We'll go back to application, and in application, go to overlays, and we want to integrate this dialog one. Okay, so let's go to code. So we have 4 files available. So we will create these 4 files and also copy paste the content within this 4 file. So I'll go back to the code. I will create a folder called pre-dialogues inside ngm dev blocks. There I will create new folder called dialog one, and I will start getting those files from the platform. I will first create the HTML files. Next, I will create the component file for dialog one. Next, I will create the template for the dialog itself and the class file for the dialog template. I need to copy the file name and then the content. So we have got everything with us. We have got dialog one component and also the dialogs template. Now let's use this in our app component and let's examine the output. Okay, so I'm going to copy this selector. I'm going to app.component. I will remove all the boilerplate code and it has already added import statement in component ts file and also it's available in HTML file. I will save the ts file first and then the HTML file. Now I will run start command. Okay, it has completed running the build process. I'll go back to my browser and open up localhost 4200. Okay, we can see the button. Let's click on it. Okay, we can see the dialog and material symbols icon. So the dialog seems to be working fine, right? Let's also examine if Tailwind CSS classes are working fine or not. So I will inspect this through DevTools. As you can see, it has flex and justify center P4 class applied over it, and it is getting styles from Tailwind CSS. You can see it over here. So the CLI did all of this for us. It added Angular material components. It also set up Tailwind CSS styles and also material symbols. You can see if I inspect this close icon, it has material symbols outline class applied to it. So this means that mat icon component is reading the icons from material symbols outline. So this is fine and working as expected. But as we saw, we had to copy paste 4 files to get this component working. This is where CLI is really helpful. CLI can make this process really smooth. You just have to run the add command. So next, we will run the add command to bring another block. Let's do that. So let's go back to blocks, and this time we will bring this login with email and password block. Uh, this is how it looks. And to get the CLI command for this, you just have to click over this button to get the add command. So it will copy the add command to your clipboard. Now I will go to the editor. I will open up new terminal and I will paste the add command. So as you can see, it is writing npx @ngmdev/cli add and then path of the block. So this is the path of the block. Let's press enter and see what it does. So as you can see, first of all, it is throwing some warning of unmet peer dependencies versions, but we have latest version, so I will skip installing Angular Material again. And then it is showing up next steps. It is asking to install dependencies and important user blocks. Let's see what changes it made in our project. So I will close the terminal. I will close all the files. And if you take a look at ngmdev blocks folder, it created a new folder called free authentication. Inside that, it created one another folder called login email password. So this is same as the path of the block name which we provided. Now let's look at the files. So it has the whole code of template and this has whole code of component. Okay. Now let's try to use this file in our app component. I'll go to app component.html and I will type login email password and I will save the component first and then the HTML file. Let's go back to browser to see if it's working fine or not. Okay, so we can see the output is looking fine. Forgot password button is there, create account sign in button is also there, and whole layout is as expected. Let's try the responsive mode. If I try to reduce the width, it will bring down the font. So Tailwind CSS classes for layout are also working fine, correct? So we saw how CLI can be super helpful when adding the blocks. Now All the blocks come with unit test cases written using Jest. Let's see how we can get that using CLI. First, let's open up ngm dev CLI JSON file. So I'm going back to editor and I will open the CLI JSON file. Here you can see by default include tests is false. Let's make this true and let's save this. Let's type the update command in the terminal. I will press enter. Now it is asking me which blocks I want to update. So I just want to bring the test files for the components which we just brought, which is login email password and dialog one. So I will select login email password and dialog one. So I will press space for login email password and dialog one, and then I will press enter again. Now it will show me the difference of the files and it will ask me to accept or reject. So I'm going to accept all the changes. Once all the changes are done, it is asking me to install dependencies and dev dependencies. I want to install dev dependencies, but I don't want to install Angular Materials 19.2.8. So I will skip this for now, but I will manually install this dev dependencies. So it brought the unit test case files for us because we added include test true in our CLI JSON file. And when we ran update command, it looked for the differences and it brought the remaining files. Now, if we take a look at the next steps, it is asking us to follow the test setup instruction from docs. So let's head over to docs and see what instructions we have to follow. I'm going to docs and I'm going to test setup section. So first of all, we need to install gist and related dependencies. So I will copy this command. I will go back to my terminal. I will paste this. All of these dependencies are needed only if you are planning to integrate testing in your application. Once it's done installing dev dependencies, let's head over to docs again and see what is the next step. Next is to install Angular animations. So with the latest versions of Angular, Angular animation is no longer by default added. It is throwing some errors of version compatibility. Let's take a look at our package.json file, see whether it's already included. It is not. So I'm going to simply use the force flag to install Angular animations. Okay, let's head over to docs to see the next steps. Next, we need to create test setup file. So let's do that. Let's grab the code from docs. Next, we need to create just config file. Next, we need to modify the spec.json file to include just configurations. Let's go to our spec.json file and for module, let's add common.js. For module resolution, let's add node 10, and for types, let's add gist and node both. For include, let's modify it so that it takes up all the paste configuration files. I will remove this two duplicated entries. I will save all of this. Last step is to add the test script. So I will go to my package.json file and I will add or modify the test script. Once everything is done, let's run the test command. So it has started running the tests and it is failing for one test. Let's see, it is failing for app component spec. So I'm going to delete that because it is not part of Angular material blocks. Now let's run the tests again. You can see all the tests have passed. So that brings us to end of this video. I hope you liked this video and I'm sure Angular Material Blocks will be really handy for you to rapidly create UIs in your projects using Angular Material and Tailwind CSS. And with CLI, bringing or integrating the blocks in your application will be a breeze. Let me know your thoughts and feedbacks in comment section and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.